Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, Yodlers! We are the Matterhorn Yodlers. I am your host today, Jackie, and we have...
Jesus.
And?
Inevitable. I mean, Peter.
And today we are going to talk about Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Or vice versa.
Or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I think that's what it was in the show.
I guess, well, it changed at the end, right?
It does.
It does change at the end.
Spoiler.
I didn't say what.
Yeah. They dropped the "the." It's no longer definitive. It's just Falcon.
Just Falcon.
And that reminds me, this episode will be a heavy spoiler episode. So we are talking about the series on Disney Plus. It ended,
End of April.
And so we're going to talk about our thoughts on different characters and different scenes in the series. So if you haven't watched it, stop the podcast. Go to one of our other podcasts, maybe WandaVision if you've already seen WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about WandaVision. And then go watch the series, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then come back to us.
And we'll just gush about all the details.
That's right.
Well, I did read an article or headline that this show was the most popular streamed show out of all the platforms for April. Like, it blew everybody away.
For good reason.
Yeah, you're watching movie level
television.
Yeah. So, you've been warned.
Well, actually, before we get into spoilers, I did have a question for you guys.
Sure.
What were your expectations going into the series?
I did not have many expectations because I knew it was not going to be similar to WandaVision, because WandaVision was a lot of, mythical and...
It was sitcom tropes and all that stuff.
Right.
So it was more like there was a lot of goofiness with it, but then, then they laid on the story thickly as you got through it.
I was expecting something very similar to WandaVision in the idea that we're going to get more character development with characters that didn't get enough in the movies. Like, you get little bits with Falcon by running really fast with Captain America, and he's just a great guy.
Yep.
And then you get Bucky, where he, you get a little bit of his story, but you don't, he's in Wakanda, and then he shows up for the fight, and then he's there, and he's got a giant machine gun, and he's killing, all these bad guys, and that's it. And so we really don't know post-Civil War what's really going on with Bucky.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was expecting from this show, was more.
Out of the 3 shows that they had announced, because it was WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, this one was actually the one I was least interested in.
I agree.
Wanda was mine. I was like,
I was interested in Wanda because I knew it was going to be a wild ride. This one I felt like was just going to be a lot of
your typical spy movie almost, or
just a big brawl. Okay, we're going to go from fight scene to fight scene to fight scene to fight scene. And again, I hadn't really grown an attachment to Bucky as a character. I enjoyed Falcon. I enjoyed his personality, and
he's the good guy,
Yeah.
He was you want him in your corner.
Yes.
Of anybody who had picked teams, you're like, that guy's loyal. I want him on my team.
Absolutely. So I was just okay, is this going to be one scene's going to be them fighting, and then the next scene's going to be them bantering with each other about how much they hate each other, and
the odd couple.
The odd couple situation.
With one friend in common.
Exactly. And so it was just my expectations were pretty low on this one. What I knew it was going to look pretty, especially after watching WandaVision. I knew it was going to look great.
It did.
And it was. And I would say I was pleasantly surprised with what we got, which, to be fair, a lot of my speculation was true in the sense of there is a lot of Bucky and Falcon, Sam bickering at each other 90% of the time.
I just watched with my wife recently The Odd Couple.
Oh yeah,
with Jack Lemmon from like the early 70s, and just thinking about watching that show on them and just the bickering kind of reminds me of that. So
yep. It's fun.
It's a good,
it's entertaining.
It's good writing in that sense of just having that kind of conflict. But
It's like, I hate you, but we're partners.
we're partners. I guess we'll work together. Yeah, it's kind of like that Starsky and Hutch kind of conflict.
All right, so we're gonna now talk about some of the different characters and different scenes
And
their roles and kind of our feelings. So we talked about our first impressions of the series, and let's talk about Sam, because you kind of get a little bit more back history with Sam. You know, he's got a family, like a sister and 2 nephews that call him Uncle Sam.
I love that moment when they're like, Uncle Sam, and I was like, it just clicked on me. I was like, oh snap, he's Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
I didn't draw that connection. I missed that.
He was running. They're on the field. He's doing his like Rocky montage training to be, Captain America 3.0. We were discussing this earlier. Like, what is he? But in that sense, where it was just very subtle, like Uncle Sam, and I was like, oh snap, he's gonna be,
So what were, like, your initial feelings? Because, like, at the end of Endgame, Cap gives Sam the shield, right? And he's reflecting on this during the series, and then Sam gives the shield away to be, like, a museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was a pretty reasonable response from him.
Who wants to take on the mantle like, you're Captain America?
Right, like, that's kind of like, do you really need someone to be like, oh, we have to have a Captain America? And that was kind of like,
do you?
That was the thought process, like, do we need that, really? And you later learned.
It's like, I'm already Falcon, like,
right.
I don't need to, like, step into a role. I'm creating my own here in this universe.
Yeah. And then let's pause on Sam, because I really want to get actually into John Walker, because, like,
Captain 2.0?
Yeah, because when Sam gives the shield away, you get introduced this new character, John Walker.
I mean, he's a from what they describe, 3 medals of honor.
Yeah,
was it 3? I thought it was
like
4.
an all-American hero soldier.
Yeah, like he would be. Well, like it goes
on paper, he would be.
Well, it goes back to the first Captain America when they were at the boot camp, and like, why are you picking the scrawny kid? Why not this guy? This guy. He's amazing in all his tests. He's the strongest. He's the fastest in the group, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And this shows the prime example as to why picking that guy was the wrong pick.
It was, and I remember that scene, and exactly when we see what happens to him, it's exactly what you said. This is why we didn't want a soldier. We wanted somebody with good moral character, intelligent, to make the tough choices that have to happen, even though you don't want to, but you have to.
Yes.
What was, like, your first impression when you first saw him, like,
he had, like, a weird scrunch face.
Yeah,
like,
he had a weird scrunch face.
I was thinking he was... I thought the bitter beer face.
Yes.
Bitter beer face. He has
that's a reference in the 90s.
Yeah, it looked different. Like, he looked like Dad was trying to be like anybody's dad's like, I'm Captain America for Halloween, and you're like,
it's like when you go to the Disney parks and you see, like, you could be angry Captain America, and you see him, you're like, that's not Cap.
Well, the thing is, he didn't look like that the rest of the series. Like,
no.
He looked different.
It was because of his, like,
I think his hat was, like, too big or something. Yeah.
I had to readjust it. I'm glad I'm not alone with the bitter beer face.
Oh, yeah. I was all like, hey, guys, scrunched up face.
Like, we'll wait till next episode to figure out what we make of this guy. And you get, okay, he seems legit, like, choice, logically.
Yeah, logically, he seems like a good guy, but I felt, like, totally, like, betrayed, like, you can't take over, like, because he kind of looked like Cap America, but not. He was just kind of like a off-brand or
he's the he's like, I'm thinking like the toys you get at Walgreens,
Yes.
and they're the knockoff. It's like not Captain America or like Captain Canada or something like that.
Exactly.
No, he's U.S. agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
U.S.
It's like,
agent.
okay, yeah, that
With
sounds...
the Z at the end.
That sounds like a person that's better than Captain America.
So you get, and it's, it was the same feeling when you like, oh, I want a Captain America toy, and then you get this Captain America, like, thanks, Mom, Dad, I appreciate
I
it.
remember that feeling with like the knockoff Power Rangers.
Oh,
My
yeah.
parents bought us, and it's all like, these are not Power Rangers.
Yeah, I remember those.
But there was a moment that like they focus on John Walker and like his struggle to be, like to convince people like the identities. Like, I'm not here to replace Captain America, but I am like my own Captain America.
But then he falls prey to his own pride.
Then it gets crazy.
Yeah, because he gets mad when Sam and Falcon are like, yeah, we got our own business, like, hey, newbie.
We don't want anything to do with you. Like, we were at the end of the world, you were not.
Yeah.
You weren't present when there were aliens in space and we were defending the planet.
What is it? Androids, wizards, aliens?
Oh, yes, and warlocks. Like, warlocks are the ones that don't wear hats.
And that brings up, like, when John Walker interrupts the mission, that first initial mission
yeah.
with Falcon and Bucky, and, like, and John Walker's just trying to come in.
He's trying to
He's trying to fit in.
Yeah.
He's trying to join a club that isn't.
He hasn't been invited.
He has not been invited, but he's trying to join the superhero club. Even though, like, yeah, he just hadn't had the opportunity to prove himself yet. It was just like, here's the job, and it's all like, okay, we didn't want you to have that job.
Yeah, it was like the government gave the shield to you, so...
And it's kind of weird with, like, Sam's role. Like, yeah, he's in the military, he's on the Avengers squad, but does he take secret missions with the U.S. government? Like, his role was kind of ambiguous, like,
It was
how
like
he
he was a
interacts.
contract worker.
Yeah,
That's what it came off as.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
Obviously
talk about
didn't
his...
get paid much.
And they brought that up with, it's like, yeah, you don't get paid much as a superhero. I'm like, wow, that stinks, can't even get a loan.
That was a really interesting perspective of the whole bake scene. Of the reality of, like, just because you're a superhero does not mean life is all gumdrops and roses. You know, everything's provided for you. You know, and it's funny because the banker is asking the questions that us as fans have always been asking, like, is Iron Man paying you? Like, or is
where do you get the money?
how do you pay for all this stuff? Like, it's like there's generous people that, you know, and they just kind of like.
We're obviously not generous enough to where, like, Sam's family's struggling.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not just Sam's family.
No, it's just not him, but it was also, he represents the people who were affected by the blip.
Yes.
And that's where, like, this takes place 6 months after the blip, and the world is trying to figure out logistically, what do we do? We went on 5 years. What are we doing? And that's what was really good about this series.
Yeah, you bring back, like, because they kind of explained in the series that, like, borders were redrawn, new countries were made after the blip, and that's when
people moving into houses that were owned by people that disappeared. You come back, you don't have a house. It's just, it's a nightmare to the order. You know, the blip was complete chaos and bringing everyone back.
And honestly, this is the story that I wanted to see because we only got little glimpses of it. Because
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was like, it was a joke. They played it off as a joke with, like, the bands running into each other. And then you got WandaVision where you did get to see a brief moment of that instant, like, chaos.
At the hospital.
At the hospital. And then here we got to see, like,
the after
effects of all of it.
The geopolitical, the financial nightmare that comes from it. And you're like, oh yeah. When you're watching, like, Thanos, like, disappear people and aliens, you're not thinking, like, I wonder how this affects the banking regulation with lending with people. Like, oh, what about... You just don't think about those things. You're like, blowing up stuff and Thor, come in with your lightning, you know? Like,
life has to return to normal and sometimes it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And that was the reality of this. And that's what you always get with these, the Captain America story arc altogether. It always has to deal with like the national governments and like society, like those sort of struggles. And so like I felt like this was a good continuation of the Captain America movies that had come before.
Yeah, and you don't have to watch comic books
No.
to get what's going on.
Nope.
That's usually what you get, like especially with Star Wars, they supplement a lot of like the background stories, the questions that you ask. You know, like where does Darth Vader live? You know, like no one ever thinks about it. Is he always on a ship? You know, like no, you just don't. But so that's what was great about this TV show was you're getting that. You're getting you're getting answers to questions you didn't necessarily think about right away.
And would not work in a movie setting.
Oh no.
It would have been a horrible movie if this was a movie.
I mean, there was like one episode where they really focus on like building the boat back up, and it was like a good episode. I really enjoyed that episode.
That would have been like a 5-minute montage, like we need to fix the boat. Well, we can't. We have to sell it. Next scene, like you would have been like, "Oh, that was abrupt."
We built the boat. Music montage. You know, like that would have been it. Like 2 minutes. Like yeah, I even felt that way about like even the first episode where like you start with this amazing action scene and then it's pretty dry the rest of the time.
Yeah, you get Bucky like talking to his therapist.
Yeah, the therapist. But let's go into, because we kind of briefly talked about Carly. She is kind of like the known...
She's the bad guy.
She's like the bad guy.
She's the perceived bad guy.
Enfys Nest.
Yeah.
No, sorry, wrong bad guy. Or a good guy. Or whatever she is.
I don't think she's like the bad person at first. You know,
she's the designated enemy.
Yes.
Of
the series starting off.
She's against the GRC. Which
honestly,
is the
like
agency.
I would say throughout the whole series, she is the villain.
She's the villain where you have to focus on her because she's causing harm.
Yes.
Yes, because there's a moment when she crosses that line and causes death to people, and causes death, and that's when she really becomes like the villain. Even her followers are like, "Oh, we're doing this now? Okay."
Well,
It always starts as a humanitarian effort, and then once everything's established, then you know you gotta move the ideology. You gotta fight fire with fire usually.
And I really enjoy like her conversation with Sam.
The diplomatic like.
Their conversations were great. Yeah. I enjoyed every single one of them. They were great. Even when John Walker walks in and ruins it, it's like, dude, you were right there. We were right there, and you ruined it.
Yeah, he's a hothead. Like he's so used to being in control.
Yeah.
In his situation, and I think that's why he wasn't a good fit with Sam and Falcon, or not Sam. Oh, they're the same person. Bucky and Sam. Because they know how to work as a team. They're not like, oh, I'm going to solve this. Like, you have this guy, I'm going to try and prove myself, and I can't wait for this. And he's just so hot-headed. Like, he's so used to doing himself. That's what you do as in the military, captain. You're leading, and it's hard for him just to let go of that power.
Let's talk about the moment when John Walker flips and kills someone in the public.
I think there's something before that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about when he gets the serum. Like, he's getting his butt kicked beforehand, right?
Oh, yes.
And I think that really leads up to that point.
Well, like, I think he hadn't... he had gotten... He grabbed it. He had an opportunity. He grabbed the last vial of the serum.
Yes.
I don't think he used it right away.
He didn't. He waited until he got his butt kicked.
He was talking to
his
friend.
arm broke,
yeah.
and that fight scene was so cool when he tore off the.
No. He already taken it at that point.
So there were two fights in that episode.
Fights.
There was the one early on when Sam was talking, and then that's where Captain 2.0 John Walker gets his butt kicked.
Yes,
and then they break off, and then Sam reconnects with her, but Captain 2.0 comes back, and
I actually don't even, because we don't even see. I think it actually happened after that fight.
Because he talks with his
buddy. He talks with his friend and says, "Would you take it?" "Yeah, I would take it." And I think he wanted that confirmation from his friend before he did it.
Yeah, that's that moral dilemma of like, I don't think I'm good enough.
Correct.
And you have Captain America's like, he was serum. He had the, that's who he was. And so there's that. I think he's justified in thinking I have to do this because I'm getting my butt kicked. I got my butt kicked by a Wakanda warrior.
Well, that happened with the serum.
No, what was with the serum?
I believe so, wasn't it?
There was.
Or was that before?
It's hard. You have these run down
so
building
it's all
fights.
blur at this point. It's like which
No,
fight?
it was before.
Was it before?
Yeah.
Okay, because I do remember him saying, he's like, man, like I got beat by this chick, and like even like Falcon and Bucky were just like, dude, you don't want to mess with these people. Like,
I think Bucky's saying that. Like,
you don't want to mess with them. They will oaf you.
I was like, this is what they did since birth. Like,
I thought that was really good to show the power of those characters, because you see them isolated in Black Panther, and you're like, oh, they're great warriors, but you have nothing to compare to. Yeah, you see them fight with Thanos and still it's hard to gauge their power. But then you see like them fight against Captain 2.0, and you're like, these guys are no joke. And then Bucky's going like, no, they're no joke. Take them serious. Like, they're legit. And you got that confirmation there, which I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, I get a comparison of like what the level of power they are.
Like seeing that did actually get me excited to see them come back in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm curious what the sequel of Black Panther will be.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, because they have to deal with the death.
The death of the main actor
Yeah.
of Black Panther.
Okay, so.
So go back to what we were saying, like
Right.
the serum, and then I think the big point, the difference between Cap 2.0 and Sam was, he was asked the same question, and he's like, no. Like,
Right.
He's just definitive, like,
He knew
no.
that it was a no-brainer that he would never take.
It's no solution.
That's right.
It's not gonna take away all your problems. Like they said, it's only gonna enhance
Mm-hmm.
things. And I think when he took the serum, he went a little crazy.
It's new power.
Well, it was something, you gotta imagine, he probably took it relatively close to that point when he did, kill, like, I think he was still in that process of adjusting to the serum and the power, and then to see his friend get killed,
Yeah.
like, he's got all these hormonal imbalances,
it's-
and so he
yeah.
went into a blind rage.
Kind
at
of
that point.
like the Hulk. I mean, it's the same serum, isn't it? Like,
it's similar.
And the idea of trying to create the serum. Yeah.
Correct. And so, like, you don't actually see him kind of mellow out till the last episode.
Till
Is that
the
you
last
actually
episode.
see him kind of mellow out.
And realize, oh.
Like, I need to be the hero. I can't depend on vengeance.
And I think, he's fully justified. It's that kind of idea that you see your loved one, and that's what he is. He's a brother. You see your loved one die, and you're just filled with this rage. You're this blind rage of like, I need to avenge this, because he's a product of like the global war on terror, really, Afghanistan, right? The whole war was a vengeance type war of like, hey, we need to get our enemies because they hit us, we're gonna hit them back, and so he is a product of that type of mentality. Not whether that it is or not, but I think it's not a surprise that we got that reaction.
No, I'm not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely.
It was when they like really showed the scene, and like you at the end, like
got the
you
shield.
see the blood on the shield.
It's a powerful statement because I paused it this morning, and that's what I saw was like the shield and the blood right there, and it was very symbolic.
It was definitely a comic book picture right there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you would see that
On
in
a
a
cover.
comic book.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
And it was just like, oh, this is not, and it just like proved like this is not the real Captain America.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
the thing that like really like makes me sad when I saw that was just something that happened a few scenes prior with the guy that got killed. He was talking about how Captain America, he looked up to him as a
Yeah.
hero. Like he inspired him, and to be killed by the symbol that he loved
Yeah.
growing up was just like, oh,
That's heartbreaking.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Bucky a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
he...
Let's talk about your feelings.
Yes, exactly.
I love his list. I kept thinking of the show My Name is Earl.
Yep.
Where it's all like, do good things happen. And he's
I'm
got to
just trying to
this
be
list.
a good man. Just trying to be a good
And I
person.
kept thinking of that show, and I'm just waiting for Crabman to be like, hey, Bucky. Hey, Crabman.
Hey, Crabman. We actually just started watching that show.
So, Bucky, you get introduced to him. He's in a dark spot. He's sleeping on the floor, which kind of refers to a reference to when Captain America talks to Sam about, like,
the bed's not comfortable.
The bed's not comfortable.
It's too soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing with a lot of soldiers when they come home, that they can't sleep in their own beds because it's not what they're used to.
No, you're not. You're really not used to it. There was a period I slept on the floor for I'd say about a year, because it just was more comfortable.
Yeah.
It was just too soft, and I think I was having back problems at the time. So yeah, you're just beat up, and you're just so used to that level of comfort that you were in, of uncomfortability, and then you're thrown into this oh, this is so nice.
Yeah, you sleep on the cloud, as they said in the series. It's like sleeping on a cloud. So, and then Bucky has to go through therapy.
Yes, part of his pardon rules. In order to keep this pardon, he's in probation.
Yes.
Pardon probation.
And basically he can't... The Winter Soldier's no more. He can't kill anyone. And I can't remember.
I don't know. It seems like he's got a password.
He had 3 rules that through the therapist. And so...
Yes, for his pardon, he's not allowed to. But deep down, he's still programmed.
Yes.
So...
Is he? I thought that was the whole thing. Is
in
that
Wakanda?
He got deprogrammed in Wakanda.
They
that was that
taught
whole
him how to overcome it.
I just had a feeling maybe they're still. It's just not an issue right now. But I guess I missed it. But I can see where you guys are coming around later.
And then let's talk about Bucky's relationship with. I don't even want to try saying.
You talk about the older gentleman.
Yeah,
the old guy.
The elderly gentleman.
Yes,
because it goes back.
I don't have him on my little character list.
But it goes back into history that when Bucky was the Winter Soldier, he had killed his son.
Yes.
And Bucky was on this path of trying to make amends of people on his list and kind of move on from that. And this was part of it, and probably one of his hardest.
Oh, yeah.
I think, because he had created a relationship before making amends.
You could see that the death of his son was still impacting him today, and so that's what made it harder for him.
It's supposed to be a stranger knocking on your door hey, I killed your son, sorry, and then you leave. This one's you're eating, you're hanging out.
You've developed a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And
now you have to break it to him hey, our friendship is based on me feeling guilty that I killed your son.
And and at the end you see that where he comes in and opens up about it, and that's some big growth there, I would say.
I agree. I mean, it was kind of, you see it in the beginning and you're this will be the last thing that he does in order to move forward and be Bucky, Is he, so he's not the Winter Soldier anymore?
No. They made it clear afterward, even though they didn't change the title, they did change the title, but they didn't change his title. He is no longer the Winter Soldier.
So is he the Spring Soldier now? From death comes life with the spring.
Now with Bucky's character, you get introduced, or you bring back Zemo, which is the villain in Civil War.
Yes.
Which I loved Zemo's character.
He's this chaotic neutral person, and the chaos, as a bad, he's chaotic bad. He's there, but
I would say he would be on the chaotic evil side.
Evil side? Okay.
No, not chaotic evil. I would say he's chaotic neutral.
Okay, chaotic neutral. That's what I was thinking when we were
not
going through
evil, because he has yeah, he stands for the little person, you know, like that's kind of that's the kind of vibe I get.
He just
And
doesn't
so-
play in the system, and that's where he brings the chaos.
Yeah, he doesn't play the rules.
But it's not political, like purely political.
Yeah.
So Bucky helps Zemo break out of his jail.
Well,
break.
did he
heist.
help him break out?
Yeah, he did.
I thought he just kind of like said, "Hey, we need your help," and then
He's
he
like-
just like, "All right," and he just kind of
There's
like
a
left.
He
scene
left, like-
where he leaves and he passes a note
Yeah,
to one of the person.
but
and
he knows how to
causes-
get out. He just
Yes.
needs a reason or a vehicle to get him away.
Yes.
And I'm sure Zemo is also using this jail as protection from other enemies.
I just thought it was funny how like they didn't really even they hardly even show the breakout. They like said, yeah, they're all talking like we need him, and then he just like walks up like, hey, I'm here, and it's like yeah, I just got out of jail, whatever.
I think he saw them as a means to getting away.
Yeah.
Do you think he needed, or just like to have a legit
Well,
getaway and to kind of figure out where he needs to go? Does he know that Wakanda is after him?
Probably.
I think he's not surprised.
I think he
Okay.
has
that
lots
he's
of
created
enemies.
Yeah.
But I think Zemo and like Bucky and Sam had similar common goals of trying to get this serum. Now we don't know why Zemo doesn't want the serum.
Well,
He does.
He do. You do. That was what the whole Civil War movie was about.
That's right.
Was about getting rid of all enhanced people. Like he wanted the Avengers to destroy themselves because he saw them as like they're too powerful. They destroyed an entire city and just walked away like it was nothing. And he says he needs to bring these people down. We need less. That's his thing.
He wouldn't
It's
do good on Dragon Ball Z, where Goku and they're destroying a planet.
pretty much, yeah. He's for like he wants everyone to be on an equal playing field.
Okay.
He wants accountability.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And that was, like you said, that was the biggest theme in Civil War was accountability of what had happened.
Yeah, and so, that's how we get to kind of Zemo's helping Sam and Bucky out, and they're trying to figure out,
They go to the underground.
where the serum, and they go to Madripoor.
Yes, Madripoor.
Madripoor, where we get introduced to Sharon Carter,
Yeah.
which, she was kind of banned.
Because she was helping during Civil War.
Yeah, she helped Falcon and Cap.
And she was like Team C or D Avengers.
Well, supposedly they wanted to include her in Infinity War or Endgame, but it was already
the other 20 characters that
correct.
are involved.
It was just so like it would never have done her character justice because she wasn't that big of a character, and so this show gives her an opportunity to start making a name for herself.
And, she's in this, like, kind of world that, there's no rules, really.
Underground world.
There's the power broker that is known.
Well, what we believe is the power broker until we find out it's her, isn't it?
Yep, she is the power broker.
She is the power broker, which we do find out. Which, like, the build-up before, you're going, like, what's her story? Like, why
And
is she?
I think we'll get more about her character and her role in the next Captain America movie
I agree.
that they announced right as the series ended.
Oh, so they're actually coming out with a movie?
Oh yeah, as soon
Yes.
as the series ended, they said like Captain America 4 is happening.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Um,
It's kind of like the whole like the story of Boba Fett after
Okay.
the end of Mandalorian, where it's all like, okay, the show ended. Now we're gonna tell you there's another movie or there's another thing.
Book of Fett.
Yes, the Book of Fett.
and it seemed like Sharon, the power broker Sharon, was for the serum because she was aware of the serum.
She wanted to use the serum. She had created an organization basically, and so yeah, she wanted to use the serum. She seems more of like a black market sort of character. Like, she deals with the...
Yeah, and it seems like she's more of, like, she's not so much of... Well, she is a kind of a villain, but...
I got that vibe at the end. When, they're in, and they can get whatever they want, sell them. It's like,
I feel like she's just like a dealership of, like,
Well, she probably feels hurt that America turned their back on her, and she was an agent, and so she's like, I have no problem they turn their back on me, I'm going to turn my back on them, and I'm going to hurt them with them opening the door.
Stealing secrets and whatever.
Again,
tech.
is she just a means to both sides, where she just...
I think she's definitely playing both sides. I think that's kind of her thing. She's
going to do some good sometimes, and then she's going to hurt the good side.
I think, like, she's
going to help her friends.
She's going to be that person that, like, she keeps people in balance. She's going to keep one side at bay as well as the other sides. Like, she can play both sides to keep people, like, from going off their own path.
I think that's a good character to have in this. We deal with a lot of good and bad in this show, and we kind of need, like, that person in between.
And I think that's what we're also getting with what's her name?
Valentina.
Yes,
Valentina. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about her. We only know a little bit.
She's from New York. She's friends with Jerry Seinfeld, and
she wants that soup.
She wants that soup.
That Hydra soup. No Del Barrio.
Yeah, there's rumors. Well, apparently she's in Black Widow.
Yes.
Yes. So supposedly she was to be her character was going to be introduced in the Black Widow movie, which was supposed to come out last April.
Yeah.
We're
that behind, and they're kind of panicking, like, we really need to get this out.
And then this show was supposed to come out August.
Really?
It was supposed to come out in August.
Oh, man.
But they figured it didn't mess things up too much if they introduced her in this show.
It just adds question of, like, okay, you're going to explain who she is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not common for, like, Marvel to kind of go a little bit out of order.
Well, you got, like, Samuel Jackson's character. He just pops up at the end of Iron Man, and you're like, who's this guy? Okay.
And that's, like, what it brings up is Val kind of, like, worked for kind of Hydra as far as, like...
She's a person who sees opportunity and goes for it. She knows how to play the sides. And which is probably why she survived the whole Hydra purge, where they were arresting all the Hydra people and things like that. Because I honestly,
she's a puppet master.
She's kind of like a puppet master,
where you're not the guy playing the game, but you're whispering in the guy's ear what to do. So she's close to, like, the real bad guy.
And there's rumors that she's recruiting to start, like, the Dark Agents, which is, like, the bad, like, Avengers.
Kind of like a Suicide Squad, but for the Marvel.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like this contractor, like, hey, you got kicked out of the military? Come join us. Grow a beard.
That's kind of what the writer said, that she's kind of like the darker version of Nick Fury.
Yes.
Got that vibe.
Okay, so let's bring it back.
So I was kind of surprised he was so excited to be back in the fight, when it's like, you don't see what she is? Like, you don't know, like, what is she standing for? I'm like, we do things...
Probably assumes messing with him.
That's probably good.
You know?
He was in the military, he saw what contractors were like, and how they had no rules, but again, he's just been betrayed by the government, he's been fighting.
The people who gave him
the shield,
job.
And he was like, you created me, and the government's like, oh,
and
hands clean.
That's always been the story of, like,
and I think
the military and the government's like, we don't need you anymore. Thank you for your service. Bye-bye.
That also ties into the storyline of Isaac...
yes.
Isaac Bradley.
Bradley.
Or Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley.
Yes, which was really cool because he kind of stepped back. He had the serum.
He had a serum, which is the serum that they were using. The model of that serum that Isaiah used is the one that they kind of learned to replicate for this series.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not the same Captain America serum.
No, because that one was lost.
Yes.
And, one with the agent.
Yes.
That was going against the U.S. during World War II, yeah.
And, you know, he's kind of a super soldier, and, you know, the government betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went on a mission to save his men, because they were going to be, like, blown up.
Did they mention whether if he was ordered to or if he broke protocol?
He broke
protocol.
Okay, yeah.
He broke protocol.
Yeah, when you're dealing with somebody you can't control, you do whatever you can to control them.
And because of that, he was sent to prison, and he was tested, and
They poke and prodded him.
and a nurse assisted him and basically faked his death to where he could live free.
Live free, but have to hide.
Not
Low
show
profile.
who he is, and that's hard, and that's kind of what
It's its own prison without bars.
Right, and like he helps develop Sam to become, I would say,
He gave
He's
Sam
good
some perspective. Yes.
Which is good for development. I wouldn't say he was a mentoring.
No,
No.
because in the end he didn't really take his advice.
No, it was, it was his view of betrayal, and the defeat. Like, you've been betrayed and it can't be amended, and it's a good perspective to get when he's gone through what he's gone
Yes.
through, and he's just trying to show you, like, hey, they could do that to you.
Yep.
Be prepared.
mm-hmm.
Do what you got to do. That's on you.
And that's why I'm kind of glad, like, the way it ended is that, like, Sam took the mantle on himself. Spoilers, he's Captain America now.
Yeah, he comes.
He
gets
took the mantle.
shield,
It wasn't
and-
given to him by anyone.
Mhm.
Like, he's the only Captain America where he took the title. Whereas
Yeah.
even Steve Rogers and John Walker,
Were
it was
given.
the role was given to them. Whereas Sam took it.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm Captain America."
And he proved that he was Captain America, at the end, talking about freeing the people and living in a world of peace, and to the diplomats of GRC.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I actually wrote down some of the things. Like, I really like that conversation with Sam and the government.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just see, like, there's that panic with the leaders, like, we've got to do something. And
So you gotta
we
do
got to,
better.
what he says, we got to stop calling these guys terrorists. And he goes, these labels are used to get around the question of why.
Yep.
That's huge. It's like, why do these guys want to resist us? Can we come together? Like, can we hear what they have to say? And he goes in, like, who's in the room with you when you're making these decisions? And he goes, is it the people you're going to impact, or is it more people like you?
Yep.
And that's always, like, that's a lot of issues that what we see in our own kind of politics, where it's all like, is this more lobbyists, or is this the people calling for this action? Like, what's going on here? And so he throws out that kind of, like, statements, and then he, like, hits him with it going, you got to do better, because the next Carly is going to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were the target. You guys are going to be the target until you fix this. And I love the line where he goes, you have the same power as an insane god or as a misguided teenager, referring to Carly. Now the question is, how are you going to use it? And I was like, wow, that's so impactful. Like, that's where it's like, well, he's Captain America right here. Like,
That's kind of the message of who Captain America is. It's not about having all the power. It's about how you use the power.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like what the whole series was about. It was about how are you Captain America? How are you using your power? What do you represent?
yeah. And he goes, and I love where he's like, I know I could feel the stares, the hate on me with this, but, I'm taking on this call. He's taking it upon himself to do something that he's uncomfortable with, but he knows has to happen. And, like, our best leaders are the ones that don't want the leadership, but take on the call. Like, I guess I'll do this because it needs to be done. As opposed to, like, those power crazy, like, I just want it because it'll make me important, whereas ego. And with Sam, you don't get that. And that's why you're like, oh, he is.
Sometimes the best person to get power is the person who doesn't want it.
And that's
Yes.
in the end, that's really what I'm trying to say is like, he doesn't want the power. He doesn't want the glory. He doesn't want to be like, I'm Captain America. Like, did he ever say I'm Captain America in that?
He did.
He
Yes.
did? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did at the end, like at the start of the fight scene when it comes in the window. He's like, I forgot, like somebody said something to him, like one of the security guards, and he goes, no, I'm Captain America.
Okay.
Like he does say, I'm Captain
So
America.
he definitively comes in, he's like, okay, he's owning what he
Yeah.
is.
He
All
does.
right.
He does. He absolutely owns it.
Did you guys like his costume? Did it throw you off a little bit?
I did not like
I
his
wanted to ask, I
costume.
was like, what's your...
I was like, who made this costume
It's
for him?
based off of the comic book. Like, it's
Right.
definitely based off of his comic book design. I don't like it. I think there's too much white.
It's okay.
I just couldn't... There was something I was watching, and I was like...
It kept
I
putting
don't
me
know.
off.
It just seemed like a lot of fabric.
Too much fabric. He's like, I saw sequences in there. It was just too much.
But no, yeah, it's okay. But I feel like it will be changed over time. I feel like
They always
it's-
change.
They always change the costumes every movie.
We need
because
new action figures.
Merchandise!
Yeah.
Thank you, George Lucas, for
Right?
introducing this to our culture.
All right. Well, that kind of leaves us, I think, at a good spot. Any last comments or anything we want to mention?
No, I thought it...
Yeah, it exceeded my expectations. It was a great series.
You think there's going to be a sequel?
Well, we got movies.
Yeah.
I think this is set up a movie. Whether or not we get another series after that, it's always possible. That's the one thing I really like about these Marvel series, is that it's telling stories that would not work on a movie screen.
Yep.
But will add to the world, add to the universe, and help set up so that it doesn't take away from when we watch the next movie. We have some basis to on that, so that we don't have to waste 15 minutes of a movie with Sam and Bucky fixing a boat.
Gotta dig a little deeper.
We don't need that in the movie. We want, the new story, and we want to focus on that. So I think so potentially we could get another series. Will we? Probably not. At least not anytime soon.
I don't think so. Not until it's, like you said, there's a movie coming out.
There's a movie
Yeah.
coming out.
Unless it's setting up the movie.
Now, they did already announce season 2 of Loki.
Which that's pretty cool.
Oh, I saw the preview the other day. My wife got mad. She's like, you watched the trailer without me? It's like, boy, I'm mad. I'm like, can't watch anything.
Dear, the trailer's been out for like a while.
I guess it's like a new
Oh,
newer
there's
version
a
where
new
they
one.
talk about the
Yeah.
time.
The time variance.
Yeah, and so that's what was interesting about that. So I'm super stoked about
It's
that.
gonna be a good one. That's the one series I was the most excited about it of all the Marvel announcements, was the Loki one. So
I'm excited for it, but I'm also not excited to hear my wife going, I like Loki. And I'll be like, hey, I'm in the room.
That's what my husband says whenever we watch Captain America. No.
hey, I'm still here. Not dead yet.
All right. Well, that's all we have. Let us know your favorite moments in the series.
because obviously we could not get to them all. There were a
we
lot of
could
characters
not.
we couldn't talk about, but let us know what your thoughts are.
And also let us know which Marvel character you get jealous when your significant other brings up in a movie where like, okay, cool down, take a cold shower.
There's gonna be a lot of Thors.
Oh
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of Thors, a lot of Chris
Oh,
Hemsworth. Yeah. Jackie. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thor.
Okay, we all like beer gut Thor. All right, that was our favorite.
Yeah, he was pretty great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Instagram. We have a Facebook page. You can follow us on there. We also have a YouTube. Subscribe if you want to listen to our audio on the YouTube. And then you can also email us at matterhornyoders@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts. If you have any ideas or you want to hear our opinions on things, we are always open and welcome to them. And that's all we have.
Yes, that is all we have.
Just keep going and going and going.
Auf Wiedersehen.
It's not our official name, but we've been doing it a
We've been
lot.
doing
I
it.
can't say it, so that's why I don't
Auf
say
Wiedersehen.
it.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.